order or even a request was made for a DNA test. We don't know that. If we take what Tom Pirtle said, that in regard to the paternity issue, the end result today was evidence is needed to show the unfitness of Howard K. Stern, then we could sort of say they're all meshing it together right here, the guardianship and the paternity. So that's an open-ended question about the DNA. In regard to Vergie Arthur, I think Vergie Arthur and Larry Burkhead are working together right now, because Vergie has publicly said in regard to Danny Lynn that she doesn't want the custody of the child. She wants the birth father to have the custody, but she wants to be in the child's life. If she can gain the guardianship in this Bahamian court by showing that Howard K. Stern is not fit to be the guardian, you know she is going to have a DNA test very quickly on that child to determine the actual birth father.
Okay, well, let me ask Steve Tunstall about that, because Stephen, what she just said is sort of in contravention with what John O'Quinn told me on this air on the show, and he said she wants custody of that little girl. She doesn't care if Larry Burkhead is the father. She wants to be the person to raise this child. True or not?
Listen, at this point, what Vergie wants is to get that child away from Mr. Stern and into her custody so she can take care of her. Now, what's going to play out later on? I mean, obviously for Vergie, if Larry Burkhead is determined to be the father, and he at least has already said that she wants to, that he will allow Vergie to take part in the life of his granddaughter, then that's what she wants. But right now, I mean, the reason this thing keeps going on and on is because Mr. Stern will not allow that child to have a simple mouth swab, and we can put this thing to rest, and that child can get out of this media circus.
Is Vergie prepared? Because at this point, until all of this is resolved, it seems the Bahamian court is going to continue to exert authority over this child, not let her leave the island. So is Vergie prepared to sort of pick up stakes and move down there to care for this child should she be appointed guardian? Absolutely.
As a matter of fact, I was told earlier that she's prepared, you know, brought clothes and things for 2 to 3 months. And arrangements have been made for a appropriate place to take care of the child, should it be ruled that way. But it's no mystery to everybody in this case. Certain people and lawyers involved in this case have spent a lot of time trying to trash my client, and she is the only blood relative involved, and her concern throughout this case has been the health and welfare of that child.
Now, is there going to be a hearing wherein she is going to put on evidence, I assume arguing elements to the court that demonstrate in her mind Howard Stern is not a fit father? Because at that point, I assume the court will open it for responsive material, and we saw some of the videotapes when Anna Nicole was alive. Certainly a lot of people are going to say Anna would not have wanted her mother to have this little girl.
Yeah. All right. Now, first of all, you got to understand, I am not a Bahamian lawyer.
Sure.
I mean, I like to fish there, but I don't know anything about Bahamian law. And actually, your earlier report from my other team members, Tom Pirtle and John O'Quinn, is a lot more up to date on that. But I can tell you that, as we've said before, that she wants to make sure that child's taken care of. And of course, as you know, this week there's all the issues that have come up about death, criminal investigations. Today, as you're probably aware, some of the websites posted a list of the drugs, these massive amounts of heavy drugs that were shipped to Anna Nicole in the Bahamas, apparently from both, I believe, Dr. Kapoor, and then
Dr. Was it Aroshevich or Aroshevich?
Yeah, I can't
yeah.
pronounce it. Yeah, Aroshevich, who was with her.
Yeah.
I mean, now that is the world that child was brought into. I mean, Mr. Stern can say a lot of things, But that child was born on September 7th, and until her mom passed away in the beginning of February, that's the world that child was exposed to.
Is there anything since Anna's death that you have to present to the court about Howard K. Stern behavior, caring for this child, that will be pertinent in any current conduct? I mean, obviously the other is very, very important. I'm not discounting that at all. But anything current that she intends to present to the court?
I don't have anything new for you other than some of the affidavits that were presented by some of the people that were the nannies that were caring for the child.
And what is their concern?
Well, there were some affidavits that, bizarre behavior by both Anna. Mr. Stern was always around when these bizarre activities were taking place. Obviously, everybody's seen the videotape of her 8 months pregnant and in a drug stupor, and with him holding the camera.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, no, do I have anything new other than that? No, I don't. But there's so much information out there. And listen, there's one other small fact that people haven't discussed. As far as I know, Howard Stern's never raised a child before.
Oh, my God.
And at least with Vergie, she has raised 4 of her own children. And that she also raised Daniel from the time that he was 3 months old till she was 7 years old.
Is she continuing the fight to try and bring the bodies back to Texas?
That would be her greatest wish, to bring both the child, her daughter, and her grandson all to live with her in Texas, where she's surrounded by her family. See, another issue that people haven't talked about much is the fact that child has no family in the Bahamas. I mean, even Mr. Stern's family lives in California. And the fact of the matter is, if you look a short way into the future, you know that at some time Howard Stern has no way to make a living in the Bahamas. I mean, he's not licensed to practice there. He doesn't have a work permit, and as I understand it, he's on a tourist visa over there. Well, so what happens when she leaves?
Let me ask you. Let me ask you a question about that, because again, just playing a bit of the devil's advocate, you would certainly get this in court. As I understand, social services, these organizations in the Bahamas are starting to look at all of the parties, looking at Vergie, looking at Howard, looking at Larry Burkhead. What is Vergie going to present as her source of income, her ability to raise this child?
Well, number one, as far as her source of income, you may remember during the trial, the judge asked her about that. You know, she's on a police pension. She has a modest home. And she's raised 4 of her own children and her grandson.
But if it's a modest pension, how is she affording counsel? How is she affording her time in the Bahamas? Is this all basically hoping that there's an interest in an estate ultimately? Is that what this is all leading to?
I can't tell you about that. I mean, I know that Mr. O'Quinn and his crew have basically volunteered their services so far, and that's why she's been able to fight as hard as she has.
Yeah, and certainly I made the comment directly to John, so this is no behind-the-scenes sort of thing. You know, first of all, John O'Quinn doesn't need the money, but I believe it was Jeffrey Feiger that first said, there's the headline right here. John O'Quinn is not going to come into a case to fight over where a body is buried or custody of a child. This is all about the estate.
You can ask Mr. O'Quinn about that.
Okay, well, I think your smile tells it all. All right, Stephen Tunsil, thank you very, very much, sir. Much appreciated. Okay, I want to bring in Chris DeBar with Howard.